You guys want to come on up? Okay, Jenny Gasho. Namo Nidamo. Namo Nidamo. Namo Nidamo. Good morning, guys. How are you? Good. It's nice to see you. Did you guys watch the Grammys last week? No. Yeah, me either. I watched all the videos on YouTube later. Plus, I'm old, so I don't know a lot of bands anymore, so it's hard for me to follow. Okay, we've got a story for you this morning, and this one is called Goblin Story. One day, a little goblin went by an old cave. It was old, it was cold, it was dark. And something inside it went bum. What was that? Bum. Oh, cried the goblin. He got so scared that he jumped right out of his shoes. Then he began to run. Pit-pat, 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 pit-pat. What was that? Something was running after him. Oh my goodness, what could it be? The goblin was too scared to look back. He ran faster than ever. But so did this something that went pit-pat, 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 pit-pat. The goblin saw a hole in a tree. He jumped inside to hide. The pit-pat, pit-pat came closer, 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 till it stopped right by the hole in the tree. Then all was quiet. Nothing happened. Nothing. The little goblin wanted to peek out. It was so quiet. Should he peek out? Yes, he would. He would peek out. And he did. "Eee!" cried the goblin. Do you know what he saw? He saw his shoes. His own little shoes and nothing more. Goodness, said the goblin, hopping out of the tree. That old bump in the cave made me jump right out of my shoes. But they came running after me, didn't they? Oh, here they are. He picked up his shoes, hugged them, and put them back on. Good little shoes, said the goblin. You didn't want to stay behind, did you? He laughed. So that was kind of silly, huh? That the goblin was scared of his shoes. So today I wanted to talk about fear and how sometimes we can be scared of things that are kind of silly. You guys have things that you're kind of scared of? No, everybody's super brave here. Yeah, all right. Nice. Oh, you guys have it. The Grinch. Yeah. It's pretty scary. Yeah. It's kind of green with those long, weird fingers. I can understand that. Anybody else? Yes. Heights. Oh. Yeah, yes. Column. Ooh, yeah, I'd have to agree with that one too. Weish. And it seems like everyone else agrees with that too. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is a good one. Yes. Spiders. Oh, yeah. Scarecrows. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? Because things like the Golem and the Grinch, you know those aren't real, right? Oh, yes. Oh, the older kids are scared of stuff too. Yes.
Zombies.
Zombies. Yes, that's a real threat. Yes.
Animal heads.
Animal heads. Yeah. I used to clean houses, and I actually cleaned one where a guy was a big hunter, so I have to clean with the eyeball on those all the time. Yeah, so I'm with you on that one. Yes. Haunted houses. Yeah. Yeah, so we've all got a little something, and sometimes these things, even though we know they're probably not going to get us, right? I'll share a little something with you. I am 32 years old and will never sleep with my feet uncovered.
That's just me. I get so scared.
Yeah, right? Yeah, see, I'm glad you're with me on that one. So it's not. Yeah.
Like I get so hot.
Oh, yeah. Me too. When it's hot, they're all covered up. And it's goofy, because what I'm afraid of is that something will touch my feet in the night, which... Yeah, all right. That's good. I thought I was being silly on that one, but clearly... Graveyards. Oh, yeah. So again, and I can assure you, in all of my years, nothing has ever touched my feet. And yeah, oh, because they're covered. Well, that's it. Glad we rationalized that for me. Yes, but yeah, it's funny, right? How sometimes these things get into our heads and we're scared of them, even though we know they're probably not things that can get us or actually be there to scare us. But everything in our lives is all about how we see them personally. So for some people, they've seen The Hobbit or read The Hobbit, so they know what Gollum looks like, or they have an idea, and so it's kind of scary to them, except for that guy who thinks Gollum is cool. And yeah.
I just started reading the book and I like it.
Yeah.
It's funny how
Oh, see, and that's interesting. You think it's kind of cool, and that kind of bothered me that he talks to himself and has good side and bad side. So see, right here, we have an example of how some things can be scary to some people and really interesting or kind of cool to other people. And it all depends on, Sensei always talks about cause and condition, the kinds of things that we've encountered in our lives that can make things scary or make them interesting or make them funny or things like that. But a lot of times our fears are kind of irrational. They're things that maybe we don't really need to be scared of. I have yet to see a real zombie, but I too get a little concerned when I go past the graveyard that might be something that I would see. But sometimes these fears can go a little far. I don't know if you guys know, but we have something coming up called the Day of Remembrance. And this was a time in the United States when, unfortunately, people got so scared because there was a war going on that they took Japanese American people out of their homes just because they had a perception that they were bad. And it was based on something that was fairly irrational, but a lot of people shared this fear. And unfortunately, sometimes this happens, that people have a fear of people who look different or maybe do different things. So it's not just fear of zombies or ghosts or Grinches or things like that can, although sometimes that's also based on the way that these things look, right? They look kind of scary, and so have an irrational fear of them. However, we all have these little differences, and we all have these experiences, and as we've talked about before, the Buddha accepts everyone and everything just as it is. So when we think about accepting things just as they are, we have to try to take them in a larger view. So rather than seeing something very small and being scared of it for no particular reason, maybe we could get to know them. Maybe if you talk to the Grinch, he would not be so bad. And if you remember, in the end, his heart grew very large and he turned into an okay guy. What was it, 3 times bigger? 3 times bigger, yeah. His heart got very big and he opened up. So we can take these fears and we can turn them around into something different if we just view them in a different way, or try to take the great compassion that the Buddha has, and maybe we won't be so scared. This is not to say that tonight I'm going to uncover my feet necessarily, but if I think about it and have a different view, I will know that it's not so scary, that there's probably nothing in my house that's going to come and pinch my feet in the night. Unless I have to break things. Yes. So we should all try and just take a lesson and try to see things a little bit differently so that maybe things aren't so scary. And it can help us approach not only those fears, but maybe our fears of other people or things like that, and it will open us up to get to know people better and try and have a greater sense of compassion. So please join me in Dasha. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Namo Amida Butsu.